Hey guys, Jess here. So, I've been in some weird reflections the last couple weeks with so much happening in my life. Um, I've been carrying so many different things, and it just kind of seems to pile up and pile up, and then everything kind of blows up at once. And I often realize when I can sit with it and consider what I'm doing, why I am suddenly kind of flaking out is probably a good way of putting it. Um, Letting go of obligations, certain things like that that I have committed to, and whether it be work or friends or whatever, I often realize that I begin to take on far too much. I keep taking things and putting them on my plate when I already have a lot to handle. I already have a full plate. And then I get so overwhelmed with that plate that I just start not showing up. And that really roots in trying to do everything by myself, trying to take on the world, take on motherhood, take on work, take on income, take on my own shadow work, trying to start my own business, trying to do it all alone. And I have never been good at sitting and sharing myself with other people. It takes a lot for me to really be able to share my deepest struggles with people, because it's been so ingrained in me that my struggles don't matter, that it doesn't matter, just keep going, put your emotions aside and just keep trudging ahead, and it'll work out fine, don't worry about it, keep going. And it ends up becoming exhaustion and overexhaustion, and just transforms so quickly into anxiety and depressions and mental health issues. And I think that's really at the root of so much of our struggle in America in particular, is that mindset. This struggle, trying to take on everything, taking on the world, adding order a plate, as mothers trying to do it all when you're never meant to do it all, especially by ourselves, even with a supportive partner, which I didn't have in my marriage, part of why we're apart. But even with a supportive husband and father of your children, it wasn't meant to be on you all alone. We were meant to have kind of community and village and friends to lean on. And I think we often get stuck in this cycle of work and home life, treating it as separate entities. Which I can understand, but I also think work is there. It's not about having a work-life balance. It's about blending work into your regular life, being able to adapt and mold things together so that it flows more freely, not kind of just having a strict separation of work and home without the consideration of how it's impacting both. Because your work will impact your personal life, and your personal life will impact your work. So they should blend together. And This summer has been a rough one for me. I often always look forward to summer, to getting outside and going on hikes and going paddleboarding and trying to do the things. And I've been talking more and more to my kids about how this pattern comes up in me where I feel like if I'm not doing something, whether it be working, hiking, some sort of outdoor activity, if I'm not actively doing something that creates a result, I feel like I'm doing nothing. And that is a very ingrained thing from childhood. And I feel probably a lot of people can relate to that. I want to show you the lake view here. Okay. So I am outside right now because I have been feeling this exhaustion and this sickness this year that doesn't seem to ever kind of let up. And then I start to feel like a failure of like, oh, I'm this nutrition coach and active and movement person, but I can't get my own health together. And that's just another layer on the emotional bandwagon of my own spiritual, I don't know the word for it, my own spiritual breakdown. This deterioration of my spirit because of the pressure I keep putting on myself. And oftentimes when we have these symptoms of illness, it is meant to slow us down. It is, and I speak to it often, but I have a hard time always honoring it in myself, is that the symptoms are a signal of your body seeking homeostasis. They're signals of your body trying to heal itself. And when suddenly I'm feeling good and then suddenly, boom, I feel like crap overnight again, sore throat and sinuses and head congestion and my wound broke open again, and I just start to reflect on like, why does it all keep tumbling down on me? Why does it feel like I can never fully get ahead? It's because I'm kind of living in reaction, reacting to what's coming to me versus creating what I want my life to look like. And I don't even always know what that means or how to do that. I just know that there is a difference between reacting to your life and building your life. Are we simply responding to the circumstances that continue to confront us? Or are we actively taking steps to build a life we desire? And I know I've been living in reaction, responding to my environment more than creating. Because when we respond to our environment with actions and behaviors that numb us out, then we continue to disconnect from our spirit and our creative wisdom. What centers us in our body to become the person that we want to be, to do the things that we want to do, to follow those passions of creativity that we have in our bodies. So then I ask you, how do you numb out? When the world feels heavy, when your life feels like it's collapsing, when you keep feeling like you get thrown one challenge after the other. How do you numb out? For me, it's always been food and TV. It used to be, alcohol was never a huge, well, it was when I was younger. In my early 20s, alcohol was my numb out. Oh, that's teenager years too. It used to be alcohol. And now that I've given up alcohol, I'm able to look in the other parts of my life of how else I numb out. Because we often talk about sobriety. But sobriety isn't just not intaking a substance that intoxicates you. That's part of it. It's getting rid of the alcohol and the weed and the cigarettes, which I've done now over the last several years. I only just recently quit smoking maybe 4 months ago now. And that was a big one. I held a lot of shame around smoking because obviously as a nutritionist and a wellness person, to be a smoker seems like such an oxymoron, and it was. But it was another means of numbing out and became very difficult to get rid of, as all addictions are. So then when you get rid of the things that you numb out with, it forces you to sit with yourself again. It forces you to look underneath the mechanisms that you're escaping from, it forces you to look under the mechanisms that you're escaping with, to look at what you're trying to run from, what you're not dealing with, what you're not acknowledging, what you aren't doing to honor your spirit. And I can say this summer, I was explaining to my boys recently how food addictions can show up. And I am an example of someone who cycles with food addiction. And I have my whole life. And most people don't always acknowledge how much food addicted behaviors are killing you slowly. And how much they impact your spiritual and emotional body. Because when you come home from work and you're stressed and you're tired and you grab that snack that tastes good but isn't good for you, and you sit in front of the TV and binge a show or binge TV for the rest of the night before you go to bed, that is addiction. And that's a lot of America. Hi. Okay. I love seeing other people out. America's biggest addiction, in my opinion, isn't alcohol, isn't weed, isn't cigarettes, isn't any other drug. It is workaholism to jobs that you hate, to jobs that only pay the rent or pay your mortgage, pay for groceries, and then coming home and numbing out with food, TV, internet, and video games. And phones. Now phones are a whole nother extension of addiction because it's right there in your hand. And I often notice it with myself before I can first acknowledge it in the world. Or, well, sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes I notice it in others, and I'm like, I'm doing the same thing. What am I doing? And also, I think we need to take away the shame and this we get so hard, and this is me personally, we get so hard on ourselves when we realize that we've been doing addictive behaviors or we've been in patterns that aren't serving us. That is not something to feel ashamed of. It's not something to feel guilty of or like you're not good enough to be a nutritionist because you're not 100% perfect with your nutrition. to be a personal trainer if you're not 100% perfect with your athletics. Whatever it may be, you cannot expect perfection ever. We're not here to be perfect. We're not, and I would actually say the most experience comes from imperfection. It comes from learning from our mistakes. There's no such thing as failure when you allow that failure to become a learning experience. The hardest part isn't acknowledging what we're doing, acknowledging the addictive behaviors, the cycles that we're in. It is actively making changes, acknowledging what's beneath those behaviors, the whys, exploring the whys of your behavior, of your addictions, of your patterns is the difficult shadow work that many of us will avoid. That is the truest shadow work. It's not about all of our past life regressions and ancestral wisdom and what our grandparents did and our great-grandparents and our ancestors. It's what we are doing now and how it's affecting our life and what we are creating. So I say that today. You can probably hear me. I woke up today. Well, I didn't even say woke up. I did an overnight last night, which I liked doing. I like overnights. The time helps in my schedule. But I don't think it's serving myself in the highest way to do overnights, because now, slowly over last night, I started to feel worse and worse. So now my sinuses are draining, my throat hurts, I feel just exhausted. I slept this morning for maybe 5 hours, woke up and just feel so drained. And then I'm like, well, what am I doing that is causing me to feel this drained? And it's not just work. It's the combination of everything that keeps piling up, whether I'm choosing to add it to my plate or it's been added to my plate by the universe, such as my accident or my car issues or things coming up in my schedule that I forgot I planned and didn't plan well for. It's reminders. All of these little things that are challenging are reminders to come back to you. It's coming back. We need to come back to our center of willpower. It's really that solar plexus that is that uniting force between all of your chakras, really, from the lower to the upper. That is the willpower, your ego identity, your purpose, your strength and wisdom, and speaking and standing up for yourself confidently. It's all a massive journey. Nothing is coincidence. No illness or accident or anything is truly a coincidence, in my opinion. Everything is happening. It's not necessarily that there's a purpose. There's not always a lesson, necessarily. I don't think everything has some hidden lesson or universal consciousness concoction. I think we can take a lesson from pretty much every experience, and it gives us the opportunity to explore the whys. And that's where I keep coming back to. Always come back to exploring your why beneath your behavior. And that is really the deepest shadow work. So I'm going to let you go because I'm stuffy and I need to blow my nose. And I'm trying to ground myself. Look at barefoot hikes. That's my grounding center. Helps with my frequency, connecting with the sun, connecting with the earth. And this is my way of feeling better quickly and hoping to feel better by tomorrow to get back to work and get back to life. And honoring myself in the process, not pushing my own needs aside in order to accommodate everything else that is expecting something from me. You need to honor your own needs while also being able to nurture yourself and cultivate this connection community with the other people that you serve in your life, whether it be work, community, volunteer, motherhood, all of it. It's not about pushing everything else away. It's not about pushing yourself away. It's honoring all of it and being able to communicate that and then unite them together. So, thank you for listening to this rant, and everyone have a lovely Thursday.